today's class we are going to discuss following topics. You can see on the screen, these are the topics for today's class. Some topics we discussed on previous class. We will revise the concept of 2D array and we'll see some examples based on 2D arrays and some array traversal problems, and then we will try to understand the difference between character arrays and strings, and how to initialize the character arrays and strings, and a program to calculate the length of a string. These are our today's topics. So first we shall try to see the concept of 2D arrays. Let's move so these are the 2D arrays. As I have told you on previous turn that 2D arrays can be thought of as 1D arrays stacked over one over another. You can see this is 1D array, the top array, and this is the second 1D array. And similarly we can arrange 1 and 2 and 3 and so on, as many number of rows as we desire. So in this manner we can create a 2D array. But in memory, 1D array and 2D array, they are stored in almost similar fashion, and this is called a row. This is row number 1, this is first row, and this is our second row. And these are called columns. When we are dealing with 2D arrays, we call them as rows and columns. This is first row and this is column number 1, this is column number 2, this is column number 3, this is column number 4, this is column number 5, and so on. Similarly, when we are considering row number 2, then this will be starting from again column number 1 and 2 and 3. When we are counting, this is called column number 1 and column number 2. This is row number 1 and this is row number 2. But when we are dealing with C programs, this row number 1 is treated as row number 0. As I have told you on previous turn that when we are considering arrays, the name of array itself represent base address of the array, that is the starting address of the array. And from that same address, if we consider this as the base address of the array, it's called base address, we can say it as base address. So if this is our base address, then from the base address is suppose 1000, then this first cell is also starting from the same location. So that's why if we consider the distance between starting of the array and starting of the cell, this is 0. That's why the first cell is considered as at a distance of 0. This is called offset. So first cell is offset of first cell is 0, the offset of second cell is 1, because second cell is one cell after the first cell. So that's how the cells are numbered in C: 0 cell 0, cell 1, cell 2, and so on. Similarly, this is called row 0 and this is called row 1. So this is the concept of 2D array. So this you can consider the first cell as cell from row 0 and column 0. Similarly, second cell is row 0 and column 1. For example, if we want to consider this this element in the cell where I put the cross, this element will have the address as this cross is stored in row number 2 and column number 7. So in C's terminology, this will be the address of X will be row number 0, row number 1, in C's terminology. Otherwise this is row number 2, but in C's terminology this is row 0 and this is row 1. So this is row 1, and column number 7, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this is column number 7. So its address will be 1, comma 7, means row number is 1 and column number is 7. Okay, so this is the concept of 2D array. This is how we store them in memory, and this is how the calculation is performed. So I was telling about the element x, which is stored in second row's 7th column, or the, you can say, 8th column. If you want to calculate the address of this particular cell, then you can see that this cell is at a distance of one row, one complete row, because we have completed one row. So we will need to cover this distance from first cell, second cell, third cell, and to 8th cell. Then this distance will be covered to come to this particular cell. Okay, so we consider complete number of rows, and then in the incomplete row we consider the number of columns. Okay, so if the size of array is suppose 7 cells, so you can see in one row there are 7 cells, so it means 7 cells will be there, and in incomplete row there are 6 cells, so in all there are 16 7 plus 6, 13 cells. So depending on the size of data type, the address of x can be calculated. Suppose if the base address of array is 1000 and the data type is integer, then base address will be 1000 plus 13 cells away, so it means this will be 26 cells. So it will, the address of x will be 1000 plus 13 into 2, that is 26, 1026. So in this manner you can calculate the address of this particular cell. Okay, now these are the programs that I have told you on previous term. This is simple program based on 1D array. This is also based on 1D array. I have told you that when we are considering one element, each element one by one, then we call this process as traversing of the array. So here we have declared 1D array of floating data type containing 5 elements, or the size of array is 5, and then this array has been traversed for printing purpose. So we are going to print each element with this particular format. I have told you on previous time, so we will not cover this thing here. Move on to next slide. This is our next program. Here also we are declaring an integer array, and we are going to calculate the sum of all elements in the array. So this is the loop in which we are scanning the elements, and this is the loop where we are traversing the element, and once the traversing is complete, we are going to print the output of the program. This is another program in which we have scanned the array. Just note that there's a loop to scan 1D array. 1D array को scan करने के लिए आपको एक loop की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी. Here we have calculated the smallest element or the smallest person in the array, and we have initialized the variable small at 80. We can initialize it at any value among the data members of the array. So I have initialized it at 0. You can initialize at any member within the array. Okay, because we are going to compare with each and every element, and in this fashion we will be able to find the smallest element. जैसे आपको कोई आपने सबसे पहले एलिमेंट को स्मॉलेस्ट मान लिया, अगर इससे कोई बड़ा एलिमेंट आपको मिलेगा, if this condition is true, it means your small is not small. So we are going to change the value of small. So next element will be assigned to small. In this fashion we will be able to calculate the smallest element in the array. Similarly, we can calculate the largest element in the array. This is the program of 2D array. ये भी आप लोगों को लास्ट टर्न पर बताया था मैंने. इसमें हमने 2D एरे को इनिशलाइज किया है और उसके बाद मैट्रिक्स फॉर्म में प्रिंट किया है. Similarly, we can use a 2D array and we can scan. Here we have scanned the 2D array. आप अगर यहाँ पर देखें, since 2D array is having 2 dimensions, so we need to control both the dimensions of the array. Using one for loop, we are considering row numbers, and another for loop we are considering the column numbers of the array. So in this fashion you can calculate the address. One more thing that you should note with arrays is that array name itself represent base address of the array, but cell we are calculating the address of cell. Marks ij represent the cell number ij, so we need to calculate the address, so that's why we have put the address operator here. So this will calculate the address of the ith row and jth column cell. And in this for loop we are going to we are traversing the array element, and here we have just printed the values and nothing else. But we can also calculate the smallest element or the largest element in the array. Now we are moving on to our next topic, that is strings or character arrays. As I've told you that 1D array of any data type can be created. Similarly, we can declare 1D array of character data type also. In the 1D array character data type, we can declare it in this fashion, as you are seeing here. This is our 1D character array str1 of size 10, and it is containing a string hello. Okay, so in this string our 1D array will contain 5 elements hello, and this is another string, another character array of same size of 10, and it has been initialized in a different manner. In this declaration we have used individual characters of the string, but here we have initialized it as string. So double quote में आपने जो भी कुछ लिखा है that will be considered as a string, and its size should not be more than 10. So this is smaller than 10, so no problem. But what's the difference between these two notation? In the first notation there is no null character stored by default, but in the second declaration a null character will be stored by the compiler at the end of your string. Whatever string you have written here, null character will be placed after the last character, and this \0 is known as null character. You can see this is our null character. Whenever you are writing program, you should remember this is \0, not O. Okay, so this \0 is called null character. This is the character with the help of which compiler knows that your character array has ended. And the reason of this character is that when we are suppose scanning our character strings, so we don't know in advance what is the length of a string. For example, we don't know the length of name of any person. It may be 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 even, or more than that if we are considering all Indian names. So maybe more than 10 characters also possible. And with other data types, for example, if you want to store age of 10 students, then you can declare an array of 10 and you can store 10 elements there. But when we are dealing with character arrays, if we want to store a name of one person, then it may contain 5 letters or 10 letters or 20 letters, so we don't know in advance what is the length of name. So we use the concept of null character, with the help of which we are able to know the length of name. Okay, तो इसमें आप देखें पहली स्ट्रिंग में कोई नल कैरेक्टर कंपाइल अपनी तरफ से नहीं लगाता है, और दूसरी स्ट्रिंग में कंपाइल अपनी तरफ से एक नल कैरेक्टर प्लेस करेगा आफ्टर दिस स्ट्रिंग. ओके, एंड द स्ट्रिंग्स, दिस इज द इनिशियलाइजेशन. आप इस तरह से इनिशियलाइज कर सकते हैं, बट इफ यू वांट टू स्कैन स्ट्रिंग देन you can use this method. This is our method for scanning of the string. with the percent as format you can scan the string. But when we are scanning string with percent as format, you must remember that string can be scanned or read from keyboard, but it should be a single word only. It may not scan string with spaces. If you want to scan string with spaces, then you should use this function gets str1. Okay, so in this manner you can read whole string including white spaces or spaces. कोई भी आप string यहाँ से read कर सकते हैं. And there's corresponding put function that will be able to put the string on the output device. One more thing you should note is that there's no ampersand here, and the reason for ampersand not being there is that since the str1 is our character array, str1 is, as you can see here, this is our character array. Similarly str2 also, these are our character arrays, and as I've told you that character arrays represent the name of address of array. So that's why we need not use the address operator, because str1 itself represents the base address of the array. That is why there's no ampersand used here. Okay, so this is about strings and characters. So you must be able to differentiate between character arrays and strings. Character array and string are almost same, but strings are always terminated by null character, and character array may or may not contain a null character. These are some problems. Okay, let me cover the problems here. Now you can see this is the program. 2D प्रोग्राम आपको ऑलरेडी मैंने बता ही दिए हैं. 1D के भी पहले कैरेक्टर का प्रोग्राम देखते हैं. Here you can see this is a program based on characters. This is declaration of character array, and this is the initialization of character here. Character array has been initialized in the form of characters, and similarly there's another string str1 of the same size 10, and it has been initialized at some random string, that is hello cvbs, or you can remove this one. Okay, so this is our second string. So this is notation is compact, is also useful for the purpose that you need not put the null character here at the end of a string, but in case of character arrays you need to put the null character by yourself. And this is how we can print the string. This I have printed because this string is not containing null character, and this string is containing the null character. We'll see the output. And as I've told that we will write a program to calculate the length of a string. Since we want to calculate the length of a string, we will use the concept of null character. Since this is our string 1, we want to calculate the length of this string, so we can go on checking each and every character of the string till we find a null character. So as we are able to find the null character, that will be noting the end of a string. So that's why there's only a single statement in the loop. So we shall try to run, compile and run. This is the output of the program. This is the output of our program. Are you able to see the output? Okay, so you can see this is our output. Is it clear? This loop is continuously running till we are able to find the null character. As long as there's no null character, this loop will continue. So there's only single statement. That's why I have not put the braces there, otherwise you should always put the braces, because there's only one statement, so there's actually no need to put the brace here. But for a better understanding, you can put the semicolon and the braces here. You can do this. Okay, so this is better, but the output will remain same. Okay, so this is end of our today's lecture, and we'll consider some next topic on the next term.